Invasion has always been one of those shows that sounds really straightforward on paper, but somehow ends up feeling way more complicated than it needs to be. The idea of an alien invasion is usually just a basic us versus them kind of story. Aliens arrive, they're the enemy, and humans need to fight back or be wiped out. Simple. But Invasion has tried to add layers upon layers to that basic setup. Sometimes those layers work, and sometimes they feel like unnecessary distractions. Up until now, most of Season 3 has stuck to the familiar path of humans working together against the alien threat. Sure, we've had hints of shady politics with the WDC and some power-hungry figures pulling strings, but those ideas never stayed in focus for too long. The aliens were still the ultimate bad guys, and humanity had to stand united, at least on the surface. Episode 5 of Season 3, titled Point of No Return, completely changes that dynamic, and it might just be the most important turning point the show has had in a while. For the first time, the aliens are not the only thing to worry about. Now, there's a clear human threat too, and that makes the entire conflict way more complicated and interesting. The execution of the episode isn't perfect. It has plenty of pacing problems, some clunky dialogue, and moments that stretch believability. But underneath those flaws, there's a major shift in the story that could reshape the second half of the season in a big way. The episode starts by picking up the pieces after the chopper crash from the previous storyline. Of course, because this is a TV show, all of the main characters survive the crash. Hollander quickly orders the other chopper, which has him and Nickel aboard, to land so they can mount a rescue for what he calls his Vassets. The problem is that neither Travante nor Mitsuki is in any shape to be useful in this situation. Travante spends most of his screen time battling intense headaches and disturbing memory flashes, while Mitsuki discovers she can connect to the alien network by physically touching the tendrils that have spread across the area. Unfortunately, connection goes horribly wrong when the alien she's linked to is killed while she's still tethered. The feedback overwhelms her, and she collapses, remaining unconscious for quite a while. This section of the episode drags on for a bit too long, focusing heavily on soldiers we barely know. The show tries to make us care about their sacrifices, but it's hard because they've only just been introduced. One soldier dies because Travante hesitates at the wrong moment, and later, 3 more are ordered by Hollander to act as a distraction, which seems like a certain death sentence. Strangely, the episode backtracks on this by having those same 3 miraculously survive. It undercuts the weight of their sacrifice and makes the whole sequence feel less meaningful. The real emotional connection still lies with Travante and Mitsuki, so anything outside of them feels like filler. One important detail here, though, is that Nickel manages to bring Mitsuki back by implanting a device in her neck. This device blocks her from connecting with the alien network. She isn't happy about it, clearly feeling like something valuable has been taken away from her, and although it doesn't have much impact right now, it's the kind of setup that's bound to come back later in the season. Anytime a character is forcefully cut off from something powerful, you can expect there to be consequences. While all of that is happening, another storyline is unfolding with Anisha, Clark, and Jamila. These 3 characters arrive at a safe house in Shadow Lake, Washington, with the Infinitas group. From their first introduction earlier in the season, Infinitas has been a bit mysterious. They've been presented as whistleblowers, rebels who don't fully trust the WDC and claim to be fighting for humanity's survival in their own way. So at first, Anisha and the others think they've found allies. But there are red flags right away. The news reveals that they're cut off from their children back in Idaho, leaving them stranded and desperate. They're told they can leave if they want, but it's not really that simple, especially when Infinitas introduces a disturbing new piece of information. A scout from Infinitas operating in the dead zone reports encountering a new type of alien, something different from the hunter-killers we've seen before. The details are vague, but the implication is terrifying. At the same time, Infinitas also knows about Travanti's mission into the dead zone to find the mothership. Jamila, always the bold one, suggests they travel north to an airfield where the WDC will be stopping so they can warn Travanti about what's waiting out there. Verna, the leader figure within Infinitas, agrees with the plan and convinces Anisha and Clark to come along with the promise of arranging air transport that will get them back home to their kids. On the surface, this feels like a heroic plan. Infinitas is finally stepping up to help. But the truth is far darker. When Verna and Hollander attempt to make contact with the scout, everything unravels. Travanti realizes that there are hostiles positioned on the roof, and he tries to quietly get everyone onto the transport chopper. That's when the shocking twist happens. Verna suddenly slashes Hollander's throat. As he bleeds out, she delivers a chilling line, "May our Redeemers forgive you for your sins." This line changes everything. Normally, the phrase would be singular, Redeemer, referring to Jesus Christ in Christian prayer. But Verna deliberately uses the plural, Redeemers, which suggests that Infinitas has redefined the word. They now see the aliens as their gods, their saviors, their redeemers. This revelation flips the entire human-alien conflict on its head. It's no longer just about humanity fighting for survival against a common extraterrestrial enemy. Now, humans themselves are divided, with some actually worshiping the aliens and being willing to kill or die in their name. Infinitas isn't just a resistance group against the WDC anymore. They're a dangerous cult that has idealized the invaders. And like all fanatical groups, they're willing to sacrifice themselves for the cause. Joel, Verna's so-called nephew, drives this point home in the most extreme way. In the chaos, he jumps onto the departing chopper while holding a live grenade. Travanti is able to stop him and disarm the grenade, but the message is clear. Infinitas members are not afraid to blow themselves up if it means serving their alien redeemers. Joel ends up taken along with the others, but his presence is like a ticking time bomb. The humans are now just as much of a threat as the aliens themselves. The episode ends with a new layer of uncertainty hanging over everything. The shard bomb, which could be a key weapon against the aliens, was left behind during the chaotic escape. Travanti and the others are trapped in a much more complicated situation than before. They thought they were dealing with one enemy, but now they're caught between multiple dangerous factions, aliens on one side, corrupt WDC leadership on another, and Infinitas, the alien-worshipping cult, adding even more chaos to the mix. Episode 5 isn't perfect by any stretch. The pacing issues are noticeable. The dialogue still struggles to feel natural, and some plot twists depend on incredible luck that doesn't feel very believable. But despite all of that, the introduction of Infinitas as a true threat changes the game. Suddenly, the show has more depth. Instead of just aliens versus humans, it's now aliens versus humans who side with the aliens. That's a much more intriguing dynamic, and if Invasion leans into this shift properly, the back half of Season 3 could be the most exciting stretch the show has ever had. The key takeaway from Point of No Return is that the danger is no longer just extraterrestrial. Humans are capable of being just as dangerous, if not more so, especially when they turn fanatic. By showing us that Infinitas is not the safe refuge it first seemed, the show adds tension, betrayal, and religious fanaticism into the mix. Trevanta Mitsuki, Anisha, Clark, and Jamila now have to figure out who they can trust, how to fight back against enemies on multiple sides, and what sacrifices they're willing to make. The Point of No Return might not just be the title of the episode. It might be where the entire human race now stands in this war.